Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we are live with East Coast's finest. We have the one and only B-Luv of the JVC Force live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
Everything is good, brother. How you doing, DJ Amol?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I hope everything is all well with yourself on your end, man. You know, this past year and a half has been a crazy one.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. But, you know, we holding tight. We holding tight. How's Canada doing, brother?
Canada's doing all right. You know, Canada's doing all right despite all the snow and whatnot. They're talking about going into a third wave lockdown. I hope not, but if it happens, it happens. You know, I can't really. One person can't change the entire demographic of Canada, but you know, fingers crossed. You know, we can actually pull through this.
That's right. That's right. We will. We will. We will. Want to make sure everybody out there is staying safe, staying sound. Everybody is blessed, man. We'll get through this like we always do.
Hey, man, most definitely. But I gotta ask you, B-Luv, I want to take you back to the beginning of your career, and I just gotta ask you, man, like, what actually sparked the legendary and iconic career of B-Luv?
Well, you know, it's coming out of JVC Force. Started, you know, at a young age, we were a crew. You know, we got together, you know, making music on the block. About the age 18 in college, went ahead and became an official offer for a record deal. And that's pretty much when JVC Force started professionally. It was about 88 we started, we put out Strong Island as the first single. And since then, you know, we've been recording as JVC Force. We put out 3 albums at that point in time, and well, 2 albums and a single. We put out some European releases of some unreleased stuff. But then after that, you know, we kind of stopped and chilled. But pretty much around the year 18 professionally. But as B-Luv, there's been different stages of B-Luv going through my life. Like I said, from the time I was maybe 5 years old, I witnessed hip-hop for the first time. That was about 1973. And to all credits, I'll probably say witnessing the old school groups like the Cold-Crush Brothers when I had started me in hip-hop. God put that love in me. And ever since then, man, I mean, it's been like a good dream each night, man.
And also as well, man, like, if you don't mind me asking, like, what I've always wanted to know is, like, how did the JVC Force actually meet, like, all you members? Because I gotta say, you three had such phenomenal chemistry.
Yes, we were friends. Growing up, we met at 5 years old. So, as friends coming up, it was a little easier for us to go ahead and have the chemistries that we had. I think at that time, I was a little more, maybe deeper into the hip-hop scene in regards to, like, you know, writing and composing. I think AJ at that time was a little more deeper into the scene just in regards to being in the street and knowing what's going on. Kurt Cazell was getting kind of deeper into the situation, just being in the house, just, you know, spinning records. And when we all turned around and got together, you know, the chemistry, as friends, it was a beautiful thing. Like I said, when we went on the road and we did everything, we went on the road in trustworthy hands with each other because, again, we grew up together, so, you know, there was a lot of interest in us keeping each other safe. But, you know, if the chemistry is from growing up at such a young age like that, being genuine friends.
And also as well, the one thing I've always wanted to ask was, I remember one of your guys' very first records actually had J.V.C Force, but then the other ones were just, they kind of went back to just normal without the periods. Like, what made you guys decide to actually just do, like, the periods in your guys' name in the beginning records?
You know, we were known as JVC Force. We wanted to go ahead and put the dots in there because we wanted people to understand at that time that it stood for something and it wasn't just the JVC Force. Everything about JVC was kind of thought out. The name justified by virtue of creativity initially was the JVC. The FORCE became, for obvious reasons concerning entertainment. Back in those days, you know, AJ stood for the amazing Jews. B-Luv stood for the best love in the universal vicinity. Everything had a title, you know, and, you know, we're a fun-loving group and stuff like that, but, you know, we put acronyms on everything. When we wrote, we pretty much, I want to say we were very not so much careful about what we wrote, but we weren't afraid to say certain things and take certain risks. So, just for who we were at that time and the kind of music that we were making and what we wanted to stand for, we just wanted people to know that, broken down, everything stood for justified by virtue of creativity for obvious reasons concerning entertainment. And that's why we put the dot, so that people would begin to, slowly gravitate towards the fact that, it's not just a JVC force. What does JVC stand for? JVC stands for, the whole thing stands for something that we stand behind, that we, hold real dear to our heart. And it's what brought us along this way of life. Everything was about music.
And also as well, this is the one thing I've been excited to ask you, because one of my favorite records by you three is actually Doing Damage, man. I gotta say that's one of my absolute favorites. What's the story behind that phenomenal record? And when you guys did that record, do you think it would actually be as big as it is today?
Well, when we went into the studio back then, the idea was to that was a phenomenal song back then, and it was always a song that I think inspired us. Not just the hook at the time, but just the whole entire song. It was almost like one of those rock out kind of songs. When we were in the studio and we had the hook to it, we knew that it was going to be only a certain amount of songs at that time that would probably go with the background and make it that, that kind of feel. But it was the work of the legendary Charlie Murata at the time in the studio that, brought a lot of effects and things into play. And, at that time when we were making Doing Damage and we got to that point, we were getting familiarized with the studio, but again, Charlie Murata was bringing a lot of things to the table that was, new and innovative in hip-hop. And, some of the effects that he put in that song, again, it brought it out. And when we decided to lay the lyrics to that song and go back and forth against that song, the chemistry that the group always had was to take a song and sink ourselves into the music, as opposed to just find the beat and just rap. If we're going to choose a song as JVC Force, and you take a song like Doing Damage, and the beat is there, and it's bam, 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 the lyrics are going to match the harmony. So, we're going to come on, first on the line, multiplying lines, and we're just going to go with the flow as we normally do. And we'll come off the hooks and everything, and we'll bring it out, and basically we'll sink ourselves right into the beat, get to a spot and say something like, I recommend, once again, like the last day, my voice is on task, I'm coming through the speaker, B-Luv is who I am. And we'll just kind of sink into the beat. So it made it a fun record. And that certainly was a record that we loved performing, because when we dropped that, that's when we really started dancing on stage and stuff and just carrying on, because, again, it was a rock out. That's one of my favorites also, Mortal.
And I gotta say as well, I remember when Complex actually dropped their top 25 Long Island rap records, man. And I remember you guys actually hit number 25 on that top 25, man. And I gotta say, it's most definitely deserved. I really do think that record deserves to be in the top 25, but honestly, I think it deserves to be in the top 10 in my personal opinion.
Well, I thank you for that. JVC Force, again, was never a group that competed with any rap groups. I think, again, we were a fan of rap music, and a fan of rap music so much to the point that we never did videos, we never did a lot of things. And it wasn't because we couldn't do it, it's because we chose not to. Back then, we were a little bit, we loved to make music, we would rap in front of crowds and everything, but then, we would become a little camera shy and genuinely just didn't like the camera and the video scene and stuff. We moved a lot as a crew in silence. So, when we look back at those times and we think about those things, we're thankful to at least have had the anthem and be a part of something that, is probably not going to go away when some things pass. But, we never looked at it as where we should have been and stuff like that. The thing is, at that time, Long Island needed that anthem, and Long Island needed something to go ahead and, be in that place. We had the South Bronx, you had the Bridge, you had Brooklyn's in the house, so you needed Strong Island. And it was an unrecognized place hip-hop-wise. And, again, we were just fortunate to go ahead and be able to pen the anthem and make something that would go ahead and last forever. And more important than that, make something that had a special sound that, was a genuine sound. And just really thankful to the people for 33 years to go ahead and keep the song alive and, keep us in their hearts and spirits. And, to all, I must say, may the force be with you always, because, the love that JVC has is a unique kind of love. We don't have many fans, or as many as the average rap groups. And in some cases, you really have to know rap music to turn around and say, hey, have you heard of JVC Force? But I must always say that, our fan base and our support, they've never gone away. And for whatever number it is of people that we have following us, it's always been a pleasure to do what we do for those people, because, again, they're a solid group. And, they honestly make us feel as a group that there is no strength in numbers. The love is in the constant support. And, again, to our fans and, the folks that support JVC, we love you.
And the last question I have pertaining to the group itself is, I think this one's probably on a lot of fans' minds as well, but as we already know, the third JVC Force record is still unreleased today. I was wondering, what actually made you guys decide to shelf that album, and do you think in our lifetime the world will ever get the opportunity to hear that phenomenal project?
Well, let me start by saying that the project was put out by Chop Herring Records out in Europe. It's on YouTube. You can pretty much Google Chop Herring, and you can hear what that third album was. We did 2 unreleased EPs with licensing to Chop Herring. We did a part 1 and we did a part 2. Both albums actually are EPs, but the 2 of them together contain at least 10 to 12 tracks that, hadn't been heard at that time, which was supposed to be the third album. The reasoning behind shelving the third album was the direction that the rap game was going. It was the direction that folks wanted JVC Force to go. Again, stating how much you love rap and, saying, hey, I'm thankful for just being able to have an anthem. And I think as a group, I think we have a lot more than an anthem, but I think that just having an anthem and being thankful for that, it wasn't so hard to turn around and shelf an album when a label comes at you and says, hey, you know what, this is the direction that music is going and this is what we need. What they needed wasn't what we were. And it took a lot to walk away from something that you loved and to not have a deal anymore one day. But it was also a situation of where the song created platinum respect in the street. And to go ahead and disturb the legacy to try to chase a dollar based on something that you're not. Again, it wasn't something that we were fascinated about. It wasn't something that we felt like we needed to do. What we felt like we needed to do was go ahead and move about with our own integrity. And we each did different things, and we each, ventured into different markets and, continued to stay in the game, continued to help groups through the years and different things. But as a group ourselves, what we felt like we did, opening up a door for Long Island to allow other groups to kind of come through. Sometimes, you can't allow yourself to go ahead and lay on the floor, like a lumpy rug, and trip people coming through the door. You lay out the carpet and you kind of like, you've laid the foundation and now you move out of the way. There were a lot of groups to come out of Long Island after us that, benefited from us being on a city label. It allowed a lot of groups to be recognized in Long Island by the labels now, realizing, okay, Long Island is a place that has a certain kind of sound. But again, it's not for us as a group to turn around and say, hey, well, this was our opportunity and that was our opportunity. That's not how we operate. Once we opened up that door, we loved Long Island so much as the place that we came up that it was just okay at that time. When the talent started coming through there and the golden era started running, Long Island definitely played probably one of the biggest contributions in golden era hip-hop, and it was because of the sound. So to be able to enjoy that stuff and just be able to enjoy life and see hip-hop gravitating out there, it was just a pleasure to turn around and just be able to, be involved in the idea of someplace being called Strong Island and publicizing it. So, to walk away, like I said, was a decision that we made, but it was definitely based on, the labels at the time trying to take our creative vision. And might I say, to end the statement, when we did the album Doing Damage, we had all creative rights to everything we did. Everything. Because, again, the South Bronx label at that time didn't know how the music was coming out with the samples and all of that stuff. It was a new sound into their ear. So they gave us all creative rights. The second album, of Forcefield, we had most of the creative rights. By the time the third album came, when we got ourselves to a major label now, by the time we got to Big Beat Atlantic, the situation now was, okay, you're going to wear this, you're going to wear that, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And, you know, it wasn't the fact that we didn't want to do certain things, that we wouldn't have done certain things, but we just at that time, again, we felt like, where's our creative rights? Once upon a time, you signed us because you loved the song Big Tracks. You said Big Tracks turned around and it broke down so many times. It had so many different jingles, and, you know, you raised it out as a single. But then when it came to the album part, and we started to deliver tracks that was of the same magnitude and of the same breakdowns, now you were looking for a radio hit. And JVC Force at that time could have cared less about a radio hit. We were absolutely fine with playing on the rap stations at night. So, you know, we took our dive based on our integrity. And, you know, like I said, you know, we worked out pretty good because the things that we still did as a group individually, they were meaningful things. And I got to give a big shout out to my partner, AJ Rock. You know, I know you got him coming in the end of this month.
I actually tracked down Kurt Castle as well. I actually came across him on Twitter, so I have him coming on at the end of the month as well.
All right. Yep. So, yeah, so I want to say big shouts out to those guys and everything. And like I say, you know, growing up with them, our story was a little bit different than everybody else, you know. So, you know, we made our way. We did the best we can, and we made our way as JVC Force. We're still here today, and that's what matters, right?
And also, jumping ahead to 1998, you actually did some production work on Yankee B's single titled War Remix that was actually released on the label G Street. I was wondering, how did yourself and Yankee actually get connected? And of course, what was it like working production for him?
Yankee at the time was actually my artist. At the time, me and Yankee, we was also friends. Me and Yank, he lived in Queens at the time, and I lived in Long Island. And I came down to Queens every day to go and see him. He eventually moved up to Brentwood, Long Island. And me and him, through the years, we became more close. When I did the production for the War track, it featured K. Monty Marley, and it was a remake of Bob Marley's War. Had two versions on the album. At that time, also, a DJ for Yankee, you know, a couple of gigs, like 2 or 3 gigs at that time. But pretty much, you know, working in the studio and stuff like that. Me and him were friends. He was really, really nice. He was doing some stuff. And I had this track. I had that track, and I had made it in Long Island in my studio. And when he heard it, he had came over to the house, and he started spitting all over it. And then the track was something that I didn't know what direction actually we were going to go with that track, because the thing is, again, I wasn't into the reggae market at that time. But again, he started spitting on the track, and then we took the track down to G Street, and I think at the time somebody named Neil Roberts was the A&R there. He heard the track, and he just absolutely loved the track, and now all of a sudden it was like, you know, what can we do to get this track in? You know, I began to finish the track, and once I finished the track, it came out, it released, and it did well through those years. But yeah, Yankee is a friend of mine, and he's always been a friend of mine. It's like a brother. So again, with him, it wasn't hard to work with him. The relationships and the people that I've always had that I've worked with, they've always been people that I've had a certain closeness to. So, you know, the chemistry would naturally be there. I never really actually went to the studio and worked with a lot of people that I didn't know. JVC wasn't a group that featured a lot of people on our songs. You know, we kind of held our own. We didn't, you know, follow the typical kind of trend of making songs and having a bunch of people featured on it, because one thing we always felt as though is, okay, well, this is our album. Whose job is it to carry it? It's our job to carry it. So as a group, we would always feel like, We'll give you the material we have. We'll give you the thoughts that we feel. We'll give you what we feel is truly, truly us. But we would not give you an album that's full of somebody else or anything else. It's just purely going to be JVC Force. And as a result of it through the years, I mean, there's not been a lot of feature records between groups and JVC Force and stuff. Because, again, JVC Force we're a more laid-back group. When we worked on our music and stuff, we worked on it together, and we worked on it kind of, hidden in the mix. Wherever we were working on music, and we were all together. And it just wasn't one of those things to where we went fishing around to try to, see how we can, put anything together or who we can work with. It's not that we didn't want to. It's just that we always kept our face to the grind, and we always just pretty much we stayed to ourselves and did what we felt like we had to do to go ahead and keep ourselves relevant. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But again, coming through the years, it worked out for all of us. We all had our own individual things going, so,
And I also read as well that you actually started your own company called the Get Down Lounge, and I was wondering, because I'm really intrigued, man. It's a very catchy name, especially for a company. I was wondering, man, what's the story behind that company? Of course, what general services do you offer to the public?
Well, the Get Down Lounge started in Long Island, and to be truthful, what the Get Down Lounge started as it started as my production company, and the Yankee B versions of War and some other things listed production-wise by B-Luv under the Get Down Lounge Entertainment. Later on, some years later, the Get Down Lounge actually turned into a mobile audio kind of DJ sort of service. As we would call it, event specialists. No events too big, no events too small. Bringing out gear, sending out the DJs with gear, all sorts of stuff. A lot of clubs and stuff. A lot of events. Doing up to almost 30 to 40 events in the Atlanta area certain times each year, and specialized events. But that's where the Get Down Lounge sits now. As a company, it is it's an audio company, and it's an event company. So that was started, and like I say, was started from the ground up. That company started in Long Island. It stretched into Atlanta, Georgia, and through the years, I mean, been fortunate enough with the Get Down Lounge to pretty much travel through the Midwest. I've been all over the place. We've been out the country DJing and different things like that. My origins before rapping was I was a DJ. I took a seat to DJing because Kurt Cazale was the DJ of JVC Force. I took on AJ Rock as my partner, and that's how we went ahead and structured. But DJing was always a passion of mine, and to this day I still do it. Many people don't really know me for that, with the exception of a lot of people from the hometown. A lot of the world knows me for rapping, but my hands have been on those 1200s, the CDJs, all kinds of stuff throughout the years, all my life. So, I still keep myself in tune, but the Get Down Lounge goes that we go out. Unfortunately, with coronavirus now, for safety purposes, we've shut it down it's been like the last year, we've been kind of shut down, but we have other ventures to work on and stuff like Slangsmith Clothing, and just different things, Gino Lon Media, platforms like that we go ahead and we work with. So, I work with, but the Get Down Lounge, the Get Down Lounge is there. It does what it does, and it's fortunately has taken me around sometimes, like I've been on tour, numerous weekends that I've been away, numerous times that I've been on a plane just going to go ahead and spin for somebody, and it's all behind that. And the beautiful thing behind that is that company was established, and when it moved, like I say, into the state of Georgia, was established without the name of B-Luv. So it pretty much established itself as a company without all of the hype behind it and stuff. So it gave me an opportunity to really just kind of go in and exercise the passions that I loved, which was DJing, again, without all of the attention of being B-Luv. A lot of nights I was in there just tearing the crowd down for like 3 to 4 hours, and that's my passion inside. So that is the Get Down Lounge. Fierce little company.
And I hope soon that COVID-19 actually lets up, man. So amazing individuals like yourself can actually get back to running your companies and doing shows. Because me as a fan, I miss going to concerts, man. I actually, it's been so long, I forget what it feels like to be in front of them speakers.
Oh yeah, we've been fortunate. Like I said, the thing is that the first and foremost thing that's important is that we all stay safe. There's a lot of things that we can miss out on a little bit, but it wouldn't be cool to hear that we're not here because we took too much advantage of some things. Hip hop is something that doesn't concern me because, again, in my world, it's never going to go away. It's going to pick up where it left off. But again, it's important that we turn around and stay safe. But it would be great again for us to get back to the concerts and things.
But I gotta ask you,
sure,
Oh, sorry about that, B-Luv. My apologies.
You're good. You're good.
I was just gonna ask you, man, like, other than your production work, the Get Down Lounge and whatnot, like, and of course the clothing line you guys actually have going on right now, but what is next for the legendary B-Luv? Is there anything I missed during this interview? Anything else you still want to talk about or promote while we still have you here live on the Canadian airwaves?
Well, not so much. Like the fans know me. B-Luv is a normal person. I'm probably the easiest accessible person to JVC Force. I speak to all of the people. I deal with all of the people. A lot of what I do based on my hand is in a lot of things. Like I said, shout out to my big brother Sean Baker, also on the West Coast. My little brother, I should say, Sean Baker. But my hands are in a lot of things. My hands are at times in the realm of helping folks out. My hands are in the realms of a lot of different things, but me more so, I'm more quiet about the things that I do, and I kind of move along. But mostly with me, I take the time to go ahead and help folks out that haven't had, that opportunity. I may put my name behind a brand or something like that to help it go to where it has to go, and that's the important things with me is that, folks get the opportunity to get to where they have to get to based on their talent. We know that we're working in a grimy game. We know that we're working in a game that people don't give each other favors or do things for people and stuff. And, for me, I try to be that different type of person that goes out and just tries to help people. I meet people. I talk to people. I still gravitate with a lot of the old school hip-hop artists and stuff like that. So, like I said, I lay low, do my clothing thing with Slangsmith, do my stuff with the Get Down Lounge, and, again, Gino, big shout out to Gino Around Media, all around media. But, again, just, keeping things really quiet and just kind of moving and gravitating.
And I gotta say as well, those clothing is absolutely phenomenal. Like, I was looking at them. I'm gonna be purchasing myself a sweater here shortly, and the quality of it just looks phenomenal.
Yeah, the quality of Slangsmith clothing is ridiculous. Let me explain something to you. And again, there's a lot of places that we have to go with that situation. There's a lot of things that we're sitting down on that. You see, my mind is more gravitated now. It's into business. I do some high stakes things. I do have some things that's going on that's like, the permanent line in the sand that will always bring me the income. But, when it comes to, like, the businesses, again, Slangsmith is one of those businesses to where the clothing and the designs, the quality of everything is very, very particular. We just launched, the JVC Force 33-year shirt. It's a dry fit shirt. The quality of the shirt is immaculate. Everything, our tags, everything we do, we try to go ahead and put the best quality behind it. It may cost a couple of dollars extra than, the average shirts or the average hip-hop shirts and stuff, of course, but it is definitely an urban fit that's designed not to shrink. A lot of things are product tested by our kids, and, our kids wear things and watch things over and over, so we know what we stand behind, and, again, we strive to bring the best designs forward. We strive to bring the best situations forward. We're doing a lot of things. We design stuff for CBD companies and everything. Our hands are in a lot. Slangsmith is just not about the clothing. We're full marketing and everything, web design, everything else. So we sell clothes, but we quietly get behind like certain businesses, and it's like our designs are on boxes. Our stuff is in stores and do, and you're going to work with what you have to work with a foreseeable future. You don't put everything out there. So there's a lot out there that's Slangsmith based. It just doesn't say Slangsmith, but the design is behind the company. And it's some serious realms that, you know, folks wouldn't probably think, well, hey, you know what, wow, I wouldn't think that he would be into that and stuff. But again, there's a lot of opportunities to make money and stuff nowadays. And, you know, when you know people, you know, you don't have to put everything up. You just kind of talk to folks and you just see what a need is that they have, and you kind of put things together and things work out. And after you know it, you know, you're in a good position. And, you know, eventually, hopefully, you know, you're in a position where, you know, you're living off a residual income. And, you know.
God bless the internet. I said most definitely God bless the internet. You know, with the internet nowadays, there's endless possibilities.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different sort of situation now. Don't get me wrong. You know, the internet has its ways that it can bite you, and it has its ways that it can benefit you. It takes so much to go ahead and get to the point of where the internet is going to pay you. But if you're going to stand behind something that's going to be something that people like, and when they put it on, you know, okay, it feels good, or when they do something with it, you know, it's right, you know, it's better than the average. You know, the internet can really, really benefit you. You know, if you're just somebody that, like, you know, you have a lot of fancy ideas in your mind, you're going to constantly turn around and throw stuff on the internet because, you know, when you got addicted to likes, you're going to get a lot of people to turn around and take your stuff and say, hey, you know what, this looks like a good idea. Let me put this up. Let me put that up. I've made that mistake before, and I've stopped doing that because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you know, ideas are ideas, and sometimes you only come across something one time. And if you put it out there and you're too anxious, you give people an opportunity to have the ability to capitalize on something that might take you a while to go ahead and build up. So you can't give your ideas out. As much as times that I would love to share ideas with folks, I have a lot of folks that call me that's even established in the game, and they'll call me to go back on situations, and they'll say, hey, B, I need some advice on something, or what should I do? What would you think about this and that? And, you know, sometimes, you know, we're going in a direction of, well, I think you should do this, or I think you should do that. But, again, if you're putting everything out there, somebody's going to go ahead and they're going to do what it is. As soon as you put something on the internet now, you're going to see your idea posting almost at night. That's one thing we were always careful of with Slangsmith Clothing, is that when we made sure that we launched and we started to really go ahead and, like, put stuff out, and I started to stand behind the brand as the ambassador, it was the time to drop stuff out to where there was 10, 12 different ideas that was kind of cutting edge. The average person would turn around and they would look at something and they would say, hey, you know what, I could emulate that design. But one thing we went for, and we said to ourselves, okay, how hard would it be for you immediately to emulate 10 designs with 10 different pressing factors? How easy would it be for you now to go out and compete with that? Because you'll compete with the one-on-one every time. You know, you'll go out, you'll put something out, you say, hey, I like this. That's what folks do. I like this. Let me make something like it. How easy would it be for you to go ahead and do 10? And if you can do 10, I guarantee you Slangsmith will do 30. We're on deck. Heavy. We intend on going ahead and kind of like almost like moving into the clothing fashion industry humbly, but with a good product that will go ahead and stick year after year and bring the streets heat. Because we cater to the streets. We don't put anything out that we like. We put out what people are wearing, we look, and we design. And try to live life based on, like, uniqueness and just try to go on one day at a time. You know, there's never no plan for anything that I do. Everything is basically always, okay, I'll come up with it as I go along. I'll work with it as I go along, and then I'll plan it and we'll work with it. I'll put the right people behind it. But it starts based on the people. It starts based on what you see in the street. It's like being a good DJ or being a decent DJ. You have to look at the crowd and play what the crowd likes. You can like these couple of records all you want, but if the crowd doesn't like it and you want to play it because you like it, you won't have a moving party. So, again, with Slangsmith, it's young people are wearing or what styles they're doing and, you know, how they're shining and what it is they're looking into and go into that direction again, because we won't be here forever, but the legacy is to leave to our kids. So, you know, monumental stuff is what I stand behind right now, and we're good.
And also,
B-Luv, out too much.
Oh, sorry about that.
Nah, I'm good. Never put it out there too much, but we got it.
I was just going to say, B-Luv, so this is a time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to. But of course, man, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated everything B-Luv if they're not already doing so.
Yeah, you can catch me at B-Luv of JVC Force on Instagram. You can catch me at B-Luv of JVC Force on Facebook. You can catch me at B-Luv of JVC Force on most major platforms. The JVC Force store by B-Luv is coming soon. That's going to be a merchandise-based sort of situation where people can go ahead and they can, you know, read the unique stories of JVC, things they have never seen before, stories they've never heard before. That's coming within the next 60 days. That's going to be one of the official sites to, again, you know, look and see the history of things that you probably was never privileged to, and to pick up merchandise that's, you know, cutting edge as it comes about. You know, I want to shout out, of course, you know, my wife, beautiful wife, Danielle, my daughter, Brooklyn, my son, Isaiah, my sister, my mom, my dad, all of my people's Central Islip, the Branch Ave Posse, everybody at the sound of my voice, you know, never call fans, you know, call them fam. They're not fanatics, they're family. I want to shout out everybody at the sound of my voice, you know, giving them, like, you know, again, you know, my 3 daps and, you know, my 100 salutes. I want to shout out Slang Smith. I want to shout out Gina Lon Media. I want to shout out Storm Baker at All Access, Dana Dane, everybody involved with my life, all the hip-hop artists out there, all of the people, you, Canada, Toronto, Montreal, all over the place. All my family up in Canada, up in Toronto and Montreal. All y'all tell us what's up. And I want to just basically, like I said, man, at the sound of my voice, to everybody that's listening, man, I just want to tell you, you know, genuinely love you guys for the support that you've given through JVC through the years. And, you know, again, thank you for playing Strong Island the way you do. And we're looking to go another 33 with you and turn around and bust it to 66. When you put the age on it, you know what I'm saying? We want to do about 100. So, you know, I thank everybody. And again, you know, I couldn't say enough about the people that took the time through the years to buy the albums and, you know, all of the DJs that spun it, all of the break dancers that danced to it, all the graffiti artists that went ahead and ran tags, and all of the people that went ahead and did it over. And as you all know, you know, JVC Force never went after a group for a right, a lyric, or anything. We just appreciate you for whatever you did, whether you used a song or you put it out, you couldn't get it put out. Whatever it was, when you thought to pick the song up and think about us, again, I say I thank you and I love you no matter who you are. And, you know, again, 100 salutes to the world, man, and 100 salutes to you, DJ Immortal.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, man, thank you for years of amazing music, man, because I gotta say, that's some real rugged, raw hip-hop, and even though, you know, it's, your first record's 30-plus years old, it's never dated. You can listen to it, and it will never get old.
Let me say this to you, because I know eventually soon we got to get out of here, but I have to say that, again, you know, relationship is everything. Being a part of JVC, very fortunate. You know, a lot of folks may say in the same situation, well, I could have got my money. I needed to have my money, and they would have fought about money. But the thing is, again, to be privileged enough to turn around and make years of music with your friends and write lyrics based on the things that you guys did as growing up, Listen, it was more of a blessing than meeting a stranger in the street and becoming a millionaire with a rap career with that person. This thing was not something that was monetarily beneficial for us at every stage of our career. But again, knowing that you were rolling constantly with some folks that you had grew up with, there were never no mistrust issues. There was never no problems in regards to anybody that, would run into a bad situation or cause harm. The thing is, again, is being able and being privileged to go ahead and be able to do this with those guys after all of these years, and even be able to stand here at the time now and say, hey, all three of us are still alive and we're all still doing well and we're still here. It's a lot to now come back all of these years later and say, hey, I can honestly talk about some guys that I met 46 years ago in my life, 47 years ago. That is a very long time. It's a lot more decades than a lot of the people that I get to speak to a lot of times. And again, 47 years of friendship is something that like young folks would never understand. But when you hit about 40 and you start to realize like your life defines, and it's like your friends are your friends from the early chapters in your life. Again, I've been fortunate to have that with JVC, and there's certain things, again, I wouldn't go back and trade. I wouldn't do this again for all of the money in the world with a bunch of strangers. I would do it again with the same risks, with the same two guys that I grew up with all my life. And that's how I see it. And if it couldn't be done that way, like when the third album turned around and never came out, it wouldn't be done. Because at the end of the day, I'm sure we would all agree, JVC was never a group. All of these years, you had to ask the questions of where the album went, or what, because we never spoke against each other, and we would never speak about what our situations were, and that's how we were as friends. And we meant it. So, I'm proud to say to this day that, again, we apologize to the world that we never put out the third album. We're proud to say, as an example of men, even going through trouble, our trouble was kept in based on the respect of the time that we were friends. And it never got out to the public, and it never should have. And we did it the right way as far as I'm concerned. And I have nothing but love and respect for my guys. Like I said, we may not always see things eye to eye, but, there was never anything in life saying that we had to be JVC together forever. The name would live on and we would always be, but we always, we had to go live our own lives and we had to go dream out our own ambitions, and what was good for one was probably not good for the other, but I can tell you right now that everybody in JVC is doing what they love, and they have that passion that we're all benefiting from. So it's no hurting on the JVC side, but, I would never trade it again for anything in the world. And if I had to do it again as B-Luv, like I say again, I would go get my same two guys, and that's when I would do it. If you don't put me with my guys, I wouldn't do it. And that's just how it is. JVC is JVC, and JVC is going to be JVC until JVC dies. Everybody knows what the original form is, and everybody knows what we do. And, it's to the heart.
And like they always say, everything in life happens for a reason, and judging by the third record, it's like they always, like a lot of people say, sometimes 2 is better than 3.
Yeah. We had our differences as a group. We had a lot of differences. We fought like everybody else. We argued. We slammed the phone down on each other. We didn't talk for days at times. But when it came to the music, we came together like there was never any argument. Yeah, you can tell that there was contention at times in the room, but the love for the music and the love for what we did went ahead and brought everybody back together in that room, and time always worked it out. There were never no long speeches behind JVC. It was just I grew up with you, so I know how you feel, and I know what you're trying to say, but I don't appreciate it, and I don't like it, and I know you're going to tell me something anyway, and you're going to piss me off, and I could choke you out. But again, it's, okay. If you're going to choke them, but now do your lyrics. So it's how we operate as a group, and music always trumped everything, man. And like I say, we're not going to go through, life bitter about money we could have made and stuff like that. The thing is that the name Strong Island, it's a beautiful thing, and the place Strong Island is a beautiful place. So again, to be able to do some things and write a couple of albums, you know, based on your life experiences. There was no hard city talk and all of that stuff in our lyrics. There was no talks about murder and anything like that, because that wasn't us as a group. You know, what we sung about is the fun times we had, the escapades, the shenanigans with girls, the hotel parties, the parties, and dancing with the chicks in the party and going into the party and who can get the most phone numbers. These are the things that we rapped about, and we had fun. We're a little more advanced than other rap groups when it came to our rap style, but again, it gave us the opportunity to do a lot of things that, you know, the rap game started becoming to do years later. It's just that when we did it, you know, the world wasn't ready for us or the market, and they weren't ready for what we were going to put out. We were just about the beats and the rhymes. That was it. And, you know, but again, I came up with a great group of guys, and like I said, you know, been blessed, and, you know, JVC will always be JVC.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, B-Luv, thank you so much for just giving us some of your time this evening and coming on 97.7. It was an honor, man, and most definitely a privilege.
You are welcome, man. It was a privilege to be here with you today, DJ Immortal.
Hey, man, and hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon, man. I've been a fan of JVC Force for a long time, man, so I would really love to make this happen sometime soon.
Let's go on and do it. Why not?
Hey, man, most definitely. Well, we're connected via Instagram, so, you know, whenever you're ready, hit me up. We most definitely can lock you in and make it a reality.
Yeah, definitely keep in touch also, man. And like I said, if you need anything, man, I mean, you know, you reach out to me, you know, in the face of the industry right now, you know, and in behalf of the fans and stuff like that, you know, like I said, I'll come on anytime to go ahead and talk, and, you know, more than happy to talk to people and different things like that, man. So like I said, it's all about the public, it's all about the people that supported us, and 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, man, like they know I'll get up for them, man. So anytime, man.
Hey, man, most definitely.
It's my honor to come, man, and I appreciate you for definitely having me. So I want to thank you again. And Canada, big shouts again.
Hey, man.
So, blap, blap, blap.
Most definitely, B-Luv. Thank you so much again, and you are most certainly welcome. But for now, have yourself a wonderful night, and most definitely stay safe out there.
You too, man. One love, baby. One love.